The first round of the Division III playoffs, no problem for North Central College. The Cards took care of Michigan school Albion College 63-7 in the team's second largest offensive output of the season. We take a look back at what worked against the Britons and what to expect in the second round from a nationally ranked opponent next on the Red Zone. Welcome inside the Red Zone. I'm Justin ZIPSER. North Central head coach John Thorne joins us to open the show each and every week. You do that. We appreciate it, Coach. Welcome to the broadcast for this week, and we want to get into the match quickly here. Another playoff win for you guys. A pretty simple win, it seems. You called this one of the best games of the season for you guys in the post-game conference. What was so good about your team this past weekend?
Well, the guys played with an awful lot of confidence, and we played fast. But there were some big plays by special teams, a blocked punt and scoop and score with that. Another blocked punt later. It was just a lot of really good things were happening with the special teams, especially the punt return unit. But offense also had some really great plays, some big runs, some beautiful long passes, several touchdowns and so on. And then the defense, they really turned the ball over. They got the ball back. They just completely caused one 3-and-out after another there for one stretch especially. And so every area really did well. And then the entire second half, we played all of our backups, all of our number twos on both offense and defense. And they had a lot of great plays too. So it was really enjoyable to see, especially a lot of our seniors have a chance to make some more big plays. Ryan Rezak had a beautiful, 40 or 50-yard touchdown catch, and some of those things. So it was very much a fun day. This week's going to be a lot stiffer, a lot tougher contest, and so we're excited about it and looking forward to figuring out how we're going to get ready for it.
Now, you mentioned that you had the backup players, the secondary players in the game for the second half. As a coach, you've had a lot of time to see your second unit in this year with some games that had a wider margin of score. How much does that help you as a coach when you maybe some of the body tear throughout the season is kind of minimized, especially on your defense when they're not playing all that much in the second half for some of these games?
Well, that helps a lot with keeping your starters healthy, but it also helps tremendously to keep the program growing year after year after year, because these guys just got tons and tons of valuable snaps and plays in a varsity game as if they were the starter. And so by the time next year rolls around, all these extra plays that they got this year as a backup just makes it a lot more comfortable for them and a lot easier for them to understand just how hard you have to play, because the other team basically kept their starters in the whole time. So it was those were really good reps for our guys.
Well, Coach mentioned that all three facets of the game were looking good on Saturday. Let's take a look back and see exactly how North Central won its first round game.
Cards in the playoffs for the fourth consecutive year, looking to make a splash in 2013. First, they need to get by Albion College, undefeated in the Michigan Intercollegiate Athletic Association. Linebacker number 35, Brett McCarty, 13th in the nation with 119 tackles. North Central's offense works down the field quickly. Stanek guns it in to Peter Sorensen for the game's opening score. Albion goes 3-and-out. Next Cardinals series is jump-started with the legs of freshman running back Zach Padgett. He's tough to bring down. Albion finds that out firsthand. 39 of his 103 yards on the afternoon. The 7-play drive is capped off by more groundwork. This time it's Ryan Kent, 6th touchdown of the year for 1 yard out. 14-zip North Central. First Albion series of the second quarter doesn't fare much better than the rest. Bona under intense pressure. First card on the scene is Nick Slezak, but it's John Ficosi who strips the ball. TRIPP on it for the recovery. Third down on the ensuing drive, Stanek, already the single-season touchdown pass record holder, adds to it here. He gets a perfect pocket to step into. Shadow Kane does the rest for his 5th touchdown in the last 3 weeks. Check out the moves again. Breaks Nick Emery's initial tackle, cuts back to the far side, 21-0 NCC. Cards head into the halftime locker room with a cushy 42-0 lead. Action slows down in the second half, but we still have a highlight for you. Third quarter, Bona with his second pick of the day. Too high for second-team All-MIAA selection, Zach Brewer. Kevin Nalewski with the pick 6. Brewer held without a single reception. North Central cruises and sets a single-season team record for offensive yards along the way.
So one of the facets that looks very good, obviously, as it does each and every week, is the offense. And you guys set a new school record for yards in a single season, and you seemed a little surprised when you were told that after the game. What can you say about the offense at this point? It just has clicked each and every week. Really, there's no down weeks whatsoever for this offense.
Well, it was a little surprising because we've only played 11 games to have already broken that, because we played 12 games several times and we played 13 games one year, so hopefully they're going to just keep adding to that record. But this has really been a special group. We have a strong group of offensive linemen. Even though we've had lots of injuries, we've still been able the next guy in has really done well. Of course, Spencer's having just a phenomenal year at quarterback, maybe the best that we've ever had, and his numbers show that. And the receiving core has really got on the same page with him. So all those things blend together. We use like 5 different running backs. We're still waiting for one of our running backs to really just jump out and say, hey, I'm the guy, So we can still get better, and hopefully this will be one of those weeks where we do get a little bit better.
Well, I think the cool thing about this game in particular on Saturday was the fact that you set a season high in rushing with 372 yards. So even though there's not the one back exploding for that big game as maybe you'd want to see at some point, there's still great contributions from Ryan Kent, 81 yards here. Zach Patton, 103 yards on just 4 carries. Denzel Thompson gets in and does his work as well. Really, you're getting that overall feel from a number of backs as we expected coming into the season.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And they understand the offense. They just need more reps at actually reading the blocking up front. We're missing just every once in a while. We're just not hitting a crease at the right time, and so in the really big games, that's going to become very, very important. So they have to still get better at seeing exactly where they need to insert on the zone plays.
Well, they've been fantastic. They still have some room for improvement, but that's good to see. Still, you need 18 points more to set a single-season school record for points in the season, and we'll see if we can get that this next weekend. We're going to still chat with you after the break. Don't go anywhere. More with Coach Thorne when we return on the Red Zone.
Yes, ready. Let's go get it.
Oh, come on, Randy. Animal shelter, here I come. And no, I'm not crazy or emotionally damaged. That's a stereotype. I just belong to a total loser. I'm a good dog. So if you want a pet, adopt. And if you see Randy, tell him he dropped his wallet.
Thanks for joining us back inside this playoff edition of the Red Zone, still with Coach Thorne. And Coach, let's look ahead to this next weekend's game against University of Wisconsin-Platteville. This is a team that we know throws a lot of passes, and we know that your secondary has done well against that type of offense with Shane Durkin, your CCIW Defensive Player of the Year. What are you expecting to see out of your defense against such a pass-heavy offense in Platteville?
Well, they're really well coached, and they're going to throw it 45 or 50 times. So we haven't faced a team that wants to throw it quite that much. So it's going to be a little bit of a new experience. That they get the ball out so fast. It's really hard to get very many opportunities at quarterback sacks. So it's really going to be the defensive backs and the linebackers are really going to have to be on point where their coverage is, who they have, and not go running out of their zones and so forth. And being able to play some man-to-man maybe here and there is going to be very important too. So we're excited about this opportunity. I know the players are really ready to work extremely hard this week, try and figure out what they need to do.
And Pioneers quarterback John Kelly, in their previous win against Concordia, Wisconsin, a 54-20 win, he threw for over 400 yards, 420 yards on the season, 34 touchdowns. Similar numbers to Spencer Stanek in that regard, although on the other side of the coin, 15 interceptions, which is the second most in the WIAC conference, which is where obviously University of Wisconsin-Platteville is from. Because they are from that conference, I want to talk to you about this. We did chat about this a little bit after the game last week, the fact that you did open the season with 3 straight games against WIAC schools. There's sort of a give and take on both sides of the coin as far as advantages and disadvantages for that.
Yes, there really are. We really enjoyed those games. They were extremely competitive. They're very large people. They're strong. All the programs up there are coached extremely well. And so it's a challenge each and every week when you play those. So we know Platteville has gone through that whole gauntlet of games, and they only lost to Whitewater. So they're a very, very good team. But they are also similar to these other teams, in some ways. The biggest difference is they're just so totally committed. They're going to throw it and throw it and throw it. It's going to be some really fun challenges, but hopefully playing those teams at the beginning of the year is going to, help us down the stretch here now.
Well, we know the linemen are going to be ready, and as Coach Thorne always says, they are the real football players, and on both sides of the ball, North Central showed us why on Saturday. Let's hear what the players had to say about the performance in this week's What's the Word?
We got good receivers, and the offensive line does a good job. Both the 2 tackles are good players. They don't have a great running back, but they run hard, and they're going to get yards.
We ran zone pretty well. We were just trying to get off on linebackers and lock them up and run our feet, and I think that was the main thing that allowed us to get big gashes, is if we covered up the linebackers, because I know number 35 was probably their best player, and if we took him out of the game, then it was pretty much wide open.
Just kind of sticking to our rushing lanes, especially just with our defensive tackles. Really, we're keying to that, where he didn't have a place to escape under everything, and just our coverage just gave us enough time to actually work into our moves and actually be able to give him as much pressure as we did today. And it all kind of came together pretty well. I haven't touched a football since like senior year of high school, so it was kind of surreal when it happened. So it's always a lot of fun when that happens.
So both you and Platteville are 3-0 against common opponents, the WIAC schools, obviously. I guess the thing that I wanted to get at was the fact that they're going to have a lot of tape on you.
They are.
You're going to have a lot of tape on them.
Well, we won't have as much at all because they'll have those 3 plus the 3 that we have to exchange. So they've got the first 3 games of the season and the last 3 games we played, which is quite a bit of tape. So we need to go back and look through some of that ourselves and make sure we know exactly what they're seeing from us and try and anticipate what they may try and do. Hopefully we have enough video on them to really know who they are and not think we know and all of a sudden find out, whoops, that's not who they really are. Mm-hmm. So that's the tricky thing about the playoffs is with a limited number of tapes, you're not seeing everything that they can really do. So there's a lot of surprises in playoff games.
And the kind of interesting thing about this week, second week playoff run for your team each and every week, obviously it's Thanksgiving, which is something you see every year, but also it's finals week for your student athletes. What kind of regimen do you put them through, that they put themselves through, I should say, to kind of prepare themselves and make sure they do both the academic side of things and the athletic side as well?
Right. We've been talking about this for several years with them, but especially this group, about staying ahead of the game in terms of your papers and tests and homework and all that kind of stuff. And I know they worked really hard last week we've had a hard time getting out of round 2, and this class is very, very determined to try and figure out a way to do that. And so we're happy with the way they're handling things. We try not to change too much in terms of practice, but yet we still need to cut back a little bit of meeting time and cut back a little bit of practice time. It's just only fair for them so that they can get what they're here for, and that's to get an academic degree.
Absolutely. And they also want the win this weekend. We wish you the best of luck, and hopefully we are discussing a win next week.
Well, that'd be great. Thanks a lot, Justin.
Coach is off the hook until next week, but don't go anywhere. There's more Red Zone right after the break.
Hi, my name's CJ. A few years ago, my father became seriously ill. I did what I could do before he passed, but it took its toll. I lost my job, my house. I'm getting back on my feet, but I don't know when there'll be food on the table. How'd I do, CJ?
We could be twins.
Well, cousins, maybe.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
We're back inside the Red Zone. Eric Knaperek and Jordan Dean on set with us now. We have a sophomore on the far left, a junior on the right. Guys, thanks so much for joining us.
No problem. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Jordan, I want to start with you. You've been fantastic all year round. The secondary has been fantastic as a unit. And we saw in the first round playoff win that you guys essentially shut down their opposing offense. They had some trouble getting anything going through the air. What has been the key to the defensive back unit this year?
You know, just doing what we're good at. You know, Coach Murray makes it real easy on us. You know, just allowing us to play. You know, we like to stay positive and keep each other up, even when we do give up big plays. We like to stay positive, keep pouring positive into each other, and it helps out a lot. And
Eric, you missed the opening round playoff game with a sprained ankle. You should be okay for the Platteville game. But even though you've only had 7 starts this year, you've appeared in 10 games, only 7 starts, but you've been named to the second team All-CCIW team. Talk about your journey a little bit. I know last year you had some injury struggles as well. Talk about your journey a little bit here.
Well, coming in as a freshman, I was playing backup right tackle behind Greg Whalen, and the season was going well. Backup as a freshman, and I think it was against Milliken is when I really had to get my foot checked out, and it ended up being a fractured bone in my foot. So that ended my season right away. And coming back sophomore year, I knew I had to put in hard work, to either get on the field or do something with my abilities. And I got the shot to start against Elmhurst, and ever since then it's just been a blast.
You've been a lot of fun to watch. The whole offensive line has been fantastic this year, opening up holes for some new running backs, protecting Spencer Stanek, who's had a fantastic year. Let's look ahead a little bit to Platteville. And Jordan, looking ahead to Platteville, they have a pretty good wide receiver in Trevor Whitehead, who in their opening round win had 10 catches, 160 yards, a touchdown. He has 74 catches on the year. You know him a little bit from your high school days. You went to Elgin, he went to Larkin. You guys faced off a little bit. What do you know about Trevor as far as his skills on the football field?
Well, I mean, me and Trevor, we grew up together. I knew Trevor since we were real little. We played mighty football together, and Trevor's a great player. He's very fast, good route runner. He's very competitive, so I mean, I don't expect anything less of him this Saturday. I know he's going to come to play, and we got to come to play too if we want to have a shot at beating them.
And when you saw the brackets come out and you saw Platteville, a possible second round matchup, did your eyes kind of light up a little bit, say, hey, man, I could be playing Trevor?
Oh yeah. I knew that, and I also have a friend at Whitewater too. So it was either one of those schools. But it's always fun playing the WIAC schools, just because it's always very competitive. They're big, strong, fast guys, and we always look forward to those guys. But Platteville is definitely one of those schools I was looking forward to playing just because of Trevor.
And Eric, we talked to you earlier this year about how the offensive line, has had its struggles as far as injuries go. Performance, you guys have been fantastic, and that's because the next man up mentality has been enacted really well by your unit. What's been your key to using that mentality to have some success, and also the unit as a whole?
All the guys, every single lineman, I think we should have a great bond. Practice is fun, work hard. It gets tough, but everyone's there for each other.
and there's always guys stepping up, without a doubt. Everyone's always ready, assignment sound, ready to be aggressive, and I think that's going to show this week with a great week of practice.
Well, among the actual football action this weekend, the student athletes are wrapping up their trimesters with finals. Oh, and there's Thanksgiving. We take a look at the busy schedule on this week's Cardinal Corner.
During practice, players on the North Central College football team are chiefly focused on one common goal, a win over this Saturday's second-round playoff opponent, University of Wisconsin-Platteville.
And then when you're out there in practice, you just got to focus on football. You kind of forget about everything in the classroom. That's kind of place where you can just release everything, just have fun. And then once practice is over, obviously you just got to get right back in the books and study a little bit.
And hitting the books this week is even more important. Players are taking finals on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Thursday is Thanksgiving. That doesn't leave a ton of time to game plan for the Pioneers. That's why the student athletes stay on campus for Turkey Day.
My mom's birthday is on the 25th, and so I'm missing her birthday, missing Thanksgiving, missing all the family stuff. It was difficult to handle, but just having the team, guys around me, helping me out, and it made it really easy.
And you get calls from your mom, your dad, and everything. So that's always good. It keeps in touch, keep in touch with your other family. But your best friends are all on this team, so that's all you kind of really need.
Rizak and Niklos are from Arizona and Ohio, respectively, making a holiday centered around family time even more difficult, considering they're not even in the same state. At least this year, the Cards have the benefit of hosting their second-round playoff game. Last year, players, coaches, and others in the North Central Athletics family boarded a plane the day after the team's Thanksgiving meal for a 4-hour flight to Oregon. The next day, NCC lost to Linfield College. Even though this week is crammed for everyone involved, it's still an upgrade over 2012.
Jordan, defensive line in the game against your opening round playoff win. The defensive line just did a fantastic job. How much easier does it make it on you as a defensive back when they're creating pressure on the quarterback? He has nowhere to go. He forces things into the secondary, and there you guys are to kind of swoop things in, make nice tackles for loss, interceptions, things like that.
It's a lot easier with those guys. Like Coach Thorne says, those are the real football players, the offensive and defensive linemen. They really set the tone for the game, and they've been doing a great job all season long. And with them getting to putting pressure on the quarterback, rushing throws, making the throws inaccurate, it makes it a lot easier on us and makes our job that much easier each play, and it's been showing all season.
And the senior leadership on this team, you guys are not there yet. You'll be senior next year, a couple years left for you, Eric. Senior leadership on this team has been fantastic. Coach Thorne has praised them the entire season long. What kind of example do they set for you? I mean, obviously Greg and Jace on either side of the line there, they're setting, I'm sure, great examples for you personally.
Yeah, they're amazing. They're awesome. They've, I think they're huge parts of creating like the player that I wanted to be and making me who I am right now. And I keep learning from every day, on and off the field. They're great guys. Even the juniors, sophomores, I still learn from freshmen. It's a great group of guys.
Awesome. Well, you guys have been really great this year. We appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Our pleasure.
When we return, North Central Sports Information Director Clark TEUSCHER joins us to update us on the winter season.
Today is Saturday. 60 minutes of physical activity a day and eating well can help get your child healthy. Get ideas. Get involved. Get going at letsmove.gov. That's letsmove.gov.
The Red Zone is back, and the show wouldn't be complete without a visit from Clark TEUSCHER, North Central SID. Clark, thanks for joining us.
Good to be here.
I guess the big news this week is cross country, men's Division III national championships last weekend, and the men, I think, were expected to take first place, just missed the top spot, finishing 2 points behind St. Olaf of Minnesota for second place. General sense from you, what'd you see from that meet out of this team?
Well, the guys were disappointed. They were, that was their goal all season, was to win the national championship. And I think once they have a chance to sit back and take an objective look at what happened, they ought to be pretty proud of how they competed. They actually basically cut their score in half from last year's national championship when they won. They just happened to be on the course with another team that ran a very spirited race and ran well enough to win by a very narrow margin. So it was disappointment as soon as the race was over, but I think as time goes on, they'll start to see what a quality performance that was, and that certainly was not lost on the coaches.
I think that's a great point, really, because like you said, they almost cut their point total in half. 167 last year, 86 this year, a huge improvement. They won last year, and they just fell a little bit short this year. John Crane, the team's top runner, last year finished 6th. He was 2nd overall this year. He was near the front the whole time and just couldn't find that last little bit of energy near the end.
Well, that's kind of been the story for a lot of the national meets that he's been to, unfortunately. He was up against a young man from Connecticut College who's been near the front of the pack for a lot of national championship races in cross country and track and field the last year or two. So while he probably wasn't considered a favorite, it certainly wasn't a huge shock to see him up near the front. That young man was also competing as an individual. So from a team perspective, there really wasn't anything else Johnny could have done. He got the one team point for the team score, and he turned in one of his better races of the season when they needed it from him.
So that's the story for North Central. 41 D3 national championship meets in history. Cardinals have been in the top 4 for 37 of them, so not too bad. Let's move over to basketball. The men's basketball team now 2-2 on the year. We saw them lose a game last week against DePauw, and then earlier in the weekend they dropped a game against Aurora University. This is a game against Aurora University in which Aurora shot nearly 70% in the second half. Is this a situation in which North Central is just kind of running into hot shooting teams, or do you think they can do something differently on defense?
I think the team is struggling a little bit with the new rules on defense that limit physical contact on the perimeter. It's almost as if they don't quite know, how much room to give or when to play up, and got into foul trouble. They had 3 starters with 3 fouls at halftime, which limited their ability to make adjustments in the second half. And while they're still trying to keep guys in the game, Jack Burchett and Vince Kamick fouled out with several minutes to go still. I think they're still struggling to kind of find, not only their identity on defense, but how they need to adjust their play to keep their best players on the court with the new rules that are in place.
Definitely, yeah, those hand check rules are definitely hampering some of the defensive abilities, or at least instinctive abilities for the team. Heading into December, they kind of go into a lull in the schedule a little bit. Some tournaments here and there, some road contests here and there. But really, the season in earnest doesn't begin until the new year when CCIW play begins. What do you think this team wants to work on? Obviously, we touched a little bit on it for defense before they get to conference play.
This 5 or 6 weeks in between when school ends right before Thanksgiving to when it picks up in early January, that really tends to be the time that team kind of comes together, not only in a little more clearly defined playing rotation, the 8 or 9 guys that will comprise that, but also in terms of how they play together and what roles they have on both ends of the court. I think they're still filling that out just a little bit. They've gotten a couple of guys who have stepped up and performed pretty well the last couple of games. So we'll see how much that rotation changes and how things settle out before they start conference play in January.
Great points as always, Clark. We appreciate your time each and every week.
Thank you.
That's all the time we have for this week. A final reminder, North Central is hosting University of Wisconsin-Platteville this Saturday at Benedetti Worley Stadium at noon. If you can't make it down, the only place to watch the game is right here live on NCTV 17 and online at nctv17.com. Until next week, I'm Justin ZIPSER.